We have taken action. We have given the Department of Homeland Security historic funding to deal with this very issue. And so we're going to continue to monitor this. Like as I mentioned, Mayorkas was down in El Paso to talk to local officials who have been great partners with us. And so again, we're going to do the work. We're going to be prepared, and we're going to make sure we have a humane process moving forward.
Don't worry, they're monitoring it. Quit stressing, they're monitoring it, and they're going to do the work, and they're going to be prepared. Isn't it funny listening to these people say something and say absolutely nothing? Joining me now, my friend Bryan Dean Wright of the fantastic President's Daily Brief podcast. Bryan, don't worry about the border surge, they're monitoring it.
Yes, we're going to do the work and so on and so forth and things and words. Yes. Meanwhile, in 48 hours over the past number of days, we've had 16,000 illegal migrants cross the border. So I love all the words. Of course, they mean nothing when you have 16,000 people come across the border in 48 hours. I think that's pretty clear, right? What's interesting is that over the past 2 or 3 weeks, the Biden administration has begun to very reluctantly realize that, hey, there is a serious problem on the border. Maybe we should do a little bit of something about it. In fact, Governor Newsom of California is now saying, yeah, there is a crisis. We should probably do something. So they're actually looking at Trump era rules, adopting those things that they said were awful and terrible. They're actually going to bring some of those things back. So now they're trying to fight for Title 42, which was a COVID era like rule that says you can't come into the country because of COVID. They're looking at doing something again called metering, which is only a certain number of illegals can try to come into the country at any period of time to claim asylum. But the one thing that they're not doing that they should be doing is something called remain in Mexico. So if you want to apply for asylum, you got to stay in Mexico and do that. That actually worked. A whole bunch of folks stopped coming to the border because they couldn't get in, right? Our asylum process now is so broken that basically if you can get here, you can stay here, even if your asylum application will never actually be embraced.
Okay, Bryan, these border surges, it seems like we have to talk about them once every few months, and Joe Biden is president for at least another 2 years. This never stops, does it?
No, it's going to continue for the next couple of years, and that's unfortunate and frustrating and infuriating and wrong and awful, right? Because ultimately, as many folks I think have talked about, but it's important to remind ourselves, if you don't have a border, you don't have a country, right? You should be able to determine who comes into this nation. We're not doing that right now. We effectively have a border policy of if you can get here, you can stay here. We don't even have to know who you are. We don't have to vet you. Yeah, that's awful. Right. And that is destructive for the country. We will eventually lose it. So it is possible that the Republicans on Capitol Hill, specifically within the House, can launch investigations and, bring the American people information about how bad it is. But will that change things? No. We need a different administration and a different president to do different things to actually ensure we have a border.
When did the glasses happen? I've not seen the glasses before. My eyes are down too. I have glasses now too. When did this happen?
Yeah, This is what happens when you get in your 40s. You start losing your hair, your eyesight. It's a disaster, my friend. That's why I do podcasts mostly. I just, can hide away and no one can see the terrible process of time. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, amen. Amen. Well, look, I'm just checking in on you, Bryan. I'm just checking in. All right, we're not the only country with the border problem. The UK has a big fat one too, which is weird because I distinctly remember last time I looked at a globe that it's surrounded by water. What's happening?
Oh, that doesn't stop the folks who want to get in, does it? So we've got tens of thousands of folks from Albania who want to come into the United Kingdom, as well as other countries throughout Europe and the world. The prime minister in the UK is saying, in fact, just to Parliament this week, enough is enough. We have had it with all these illegals coming into this country, especially his constituents in the central and northern part of the UK are saying, hey, these illegals are taking up jobs. They are causing crime, a burden on social services. His basically his Department of Homeland Security, that person's home secretary, said this is an invasion. We're having so many people come into this country. And what's happening is you've got these gangs, basically, these human racketeering gangs that are operating on the coast of the UK and of France. And they're basically taking millions and millions of dollars to ferry people literally in boats across the English Channel into the United Kingdom. That's what's going on. And what, interestingly enough, the UK has basically come up with a deal with Rwanda, an African country, giving them over $100 million. They're saying, look, you take these illegals, they can apply for asylum there, and we're not going to take them anymore. So basically, they're offshoring their illegal problem, which is a really interesting way to deal with it. So we're not alone. The UK is facing this as well, and it's pretty infuriating for most of the good people of that country.
Don't miss Jesse Kelly Breaks History, Che Guevara, the latest episode of a new series available now exclusively for First TV supporters. Visit the First TV app or thefirsttv.com to subscribe and start watching today.